Hi, good evening. This is Foreigner in the Philippines. It's a late night job, and we're looking at some of the effects. I wanted to speak actually the effect of profanity, as opposed to keeping your speech clean. This is not. It's not about. It's not about. It's not about preaching, okay? It's not about being religious. It's not about quoting the Bible. It's not about any of those things. I was curious by a couple of things that I looked at on YouTube once. I know that I should be able to give you the link, and I'm not doing it. But it's not hard to type in the effect of bad language into YouTube and get 20,000 links there for your perusal. So it's not hard to find this stuff. But what I was interested in was, I'm sure that most people have seen that famous photograph of a snowflake, which is this beautiful, enlarged to about this size, enlarged photograph of this completely geometric, incredibly geometric shape in glistening white, of course. It's a snowflake. And it was an extremely beautiful thing when it was photographed. And it was photographed, I believe, by a Japanese scientist, researcher, who had invented this particular camera that was based, I'm guessing, on a magnifying microscope, and he was able to start filming these microscopic things. I mean, there's been various people. I've seen incredible photographs of the speeding bullet as it just that moment before it penetrates the target. Just incredible photographs. But what was interesting about the photographs that I saw on this man's YouTube video was that he showed the effects of people who were able to pray. So in other words, they were able to go into the alpha state where they were completely in the zone, what I believe is called the zone. I'm not an expert in meditation. I wish I was. I should get better at it than I am. But anyway, he was able to see the effect of what people could do who could get into these zones. People like Buddhists who are able to focus intensely on certain aspects of existence, if you like. So how did he see the effect? Well, in some very interesting, I've said these things to an engineer, a very educated man, and he said, "No, that's not true. It's not true. Don't believe it. Do me a favour," like that. And I've often had that reaction to some of the things that I've researched and done research on the research in YouTube and in books, which have come forward with these research findings of people who are not being funded by a particular company like the pharmaceuticals. If you're going to look for the results of research that's been paid for by the pharmaceuticals, that's fine. Just don't consider that you have been informed at the end of your reading, because you will have only been informed about what the pharmaceutical industry wants you to believe in that particular aspect of the case. For instance, and I've said this before, if you're looking at the results of a particular pill, and they've given the pill itself, the real thing, and they've also given the other pill that's just a sugar pill, okay? So that's got nothing in it but a little bit of sugar, right? Well, they only take notice of the real pill. They don't take any notice of the other, even though the other, in many cases, produces a better response than the real pill. But they're not interested in that, because they're not going to be selling a sugar pill, they're going to be selling the real pill. So you're not going to be informed, because the person who is doing the research is paid to come up with a certain result. So, having said that, these people who do come up with stuff, that's why in so many cases a lot of research that comes out which is particularly meaningful was found in universities, where they're less likely to be paid to come up with a particular kind of result. Well, this man did some very simple things. He, as I said, he photographed, I think that was the first photograph that anybody had ever made of a snowflake. And he actually did, photography based on water, which was either clean or polluted, either non-polluted or polluted. And he found that a prayer, not even, oh Holy Father, not that, when he found that he could say, I love you, you are most important to me, I look forward to seeing you. Very simple everyday words that were full of love. On the other hand, he wrote these onto a piece of paper, and then he put that on top of a glass which actually had polluted water in it. And he found that this kind of message written on the piece of paper, and I know that we're going to have loads of super educated people out there that are going to be laughing in their armchair, but go and have a look at it for yourself, and you might stop laughing. But he found that the water became unpolluted. In the opposite way, he had people speak over a piece of water, writing on a piece of paper which went on to the unpolluted water of, I hate you, I want to kill you, I'm full of evil in my heart, real nasty stuff. And that actually polluted the water. It was less clean as a result of having that stuff said over it. He found all kinds of different experiments which he did with clean thought, with non-clean thought, with prayer, with thinking angrily, aggressively about certain things, and he found that it communicated in many, many different ways. There have been experiments done on hooking up plants to electrodes which will show, like on, I think it's called an oscilloscope, it will, the thing that they always show you when they're doing a hospital scene in a movie, it's going beep, beep, and it would show, like a lie detector test, and it would show reactions at given points which were monitored and registered, of even threatening to kill a plant. And amazing results were found that plants were much more aware. To what degree and in what sense is another thing. But the plant that was actually hooked up electrically would actually feel fear. And that was something that was a huge difference to the thinking that had been there prior to that. So it was very interesting, and I say this so that when people think that saying the F word is clever, it's not actually doing you any good. If you keep saying things like, oh, I hate that, that's one thing I really hate, oh God, I really hate that when they do that, I hate that guy, you're not actually doing any good for yourself, because you are harboring thoughts of hatred. And hatred in itself pollutes surrounding thoughts. And that's now been proven. I knew someone who constantly used profanity. It was one of those things, effing this, effing that. And he was completely unaware of the effect that that could have on his life. And I suggested to him, not too effectively, but I suggested to him, if you wanted to be a happier person by like 100%, because he was an unhappy person, I said to him, why don't you stop using phrases like, I hate that? And why don't you stop using effing this and effing that? Why don't you stop using that? And clean up the way that you speak, because the way that you speak is expressing parts of how you think, and how you think is perpetuated by the constant use of the F word. Not a favourite word of mine. Do I occasionally get real angry and find that it pops up and into my mouth? Nothing to do with me, of course, you know, it just happened. I'm not denying that, but I'm aware that this is a bad thing for my sense of thinking. Maybe you might find that if you are in the company of people who are constantly effing this and effing that, if you get yourself out of that company and into thinking in a cleaner way, in a less profane way, you will find that your level of happiness actually begins to change a lot. Have a think about what I've said and laugh about it. Probably if you're extremely educated, you'll be able to, well, be able to think the other way. Thanks for looking in. This is Foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.